but this is now the second, maybe third week I'm talking about, or at least third time in the last 4 weeks, that we have to discuss violence against women on this show. And I am frustrated by that. Like when I heard the news about Cassie that dropped yesterday, I don't know where you were when you first heard about it. It was actually after our show yesterday. So it was, Gary, our wonderful producer, he said, "Did you see about Cassie?" And I'm like, "Oh God, what now?" And then I go on social, I go, Googling and just all of this stuff. And first, I just want to say, like, I just send all of my heartfelt prayers and thoughts, and I'm just praying for Cassie right now. But also, I hope that whatever comes from this, she gets some level of peace. I hope by filing this suit, she gets some level of peace. I think she's incredibly brave. I think she's incredibly brave to do this. Sean Puffy Combs is a very powerful man. He's a very powerful man. And there have been allegations about him for many things before in the past, So the allegations don't strike me in any way as odd. I believe them. I believe Cassie. And I pray for her protection as well, because there's a history in the music industry, in hip hop, where when women speak out about the violence against them, the industry does not support them. We saw that with Megan Thee Stallion, right? And Tory Lanez.
Absolutely.
We know that from Big Pun. His wife was ostracized and he abused her. Yeah. And there's just many more examples, right? Russell Simmons, the women that were all impacted by these men, the men really, kind of go on, and the women are ostracized from the industry, so Cassie seems to be happy. She's in a new relationship, but I pray for her protection and her peace, and I hope that she is okay. So I'm going to stop there, but we have to dig into what she's alleging and unpack everything that's come out so far. And the information is still coming out. So Callie, I want to know, what did you think when you first heard about this lawsuit?
I mean, I think you put it into perspective really well by saying, I don't know where you were, because that's how gutting the news was. Like, I remember where I was. I was sitting on my couch when I saw a tweet linking to the New York Times story, and I was just gutted. It's just really troubling, the things that are included in her filing. So the thing that stands out to me the most probably is that she met him in 2005 when she was 19. He was 37. And she's alleging that the abuse and just really trauma began shortly after they met. So at 19 years old, she's being hit, struck, I can't even, sexually trafficked. It goes so deep. It's very dark-sided, and I don't even know how deep we really want to get into what she is alleging.
There was a trigger warning on the court documents.
Yeah. And so to me, it's like, when I think of the person that I was when I was 19 years old, if I had to deal with the things that she's saying that she had to deal with in this lawsuit that, like you mentioned, took immense bravery to file. To say that Diddy is a giant in this industry is almost an understatement. His net worth has been estimated to be $1 billion by some accounts. $1 billion. So this is a billionaire and it's not just the music industry. He has ties. You don't become a billionaire just through music, So I think that that's the part that is really striking to me. There was a statement of hers in the filing, which said, "After years in silence and darkness, I'm finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships." And so when I read that, I thought, wow, that's incredibly powerful, but also potentially an omen for things to come. Because if you look at, I remember being a kid watching Making the Band. We remember Danity Kane, and they were treated terribly. So then recently, now we have members of that group coming out and speaking out, like Audrey O'Day, in response to Cassie's filing, said that she was removed from the group in 2008, just for some background. And recently she said that that happened because she wasn't willing to do what was expected of her. And she was very vague, but it was clear that she was trying to convey that something was wrong.
Yeah,
exactly. And so I think that now she's coming out and saying, like, I tried to tell you something was up. She's in full support of Cassie. Dawn Richard, who was also in Danity Kane, said that she's praying for her peace and healing, calling her beautiful and brave. You don't say those words for no reason. You call someone brave because you know what they're up against. And so I think that is what really strikes me.
Yeah, I just, like, honestly, I haven't been that in tune right now with social and what people are saying. And I think just based on the type of people that I follow and interact with, my timeline is largely in support of Cassie. But I feel like it is inevitable that I will start to see the, we gotta wait, we gotta see, innocent till proven guilty and all those things. And I understand that. I'm a lawyer, so I'm acutely aware of how the legal system works. But people think that people just file things for money. And of course, Diddy's side is denying these allegations. Right. And they're saying that, she's looking for a payday. But also her side has said he offered up a lot of money, up to 8 figures.
And she turned it down.
And she turned it
8
down.
figures.
So, look, we don't know where the truth lies in that, but this is not the kind of thing that Puffy wants out there. It's not the kind of thing he wants out there. So I don't know Cassie, but excuse me, if she could have gotten a payday, if that's all she really wanted, I think she would have taken it. It is not easy for victims of domestic violence, sex trafficking. This is not an easy thing for people who are victims of this to come out against, and certainly not to come out against a billionaire, someone with so much power. This is not something easy to do. And thankfully, it is a New York law that allows her to do this, because the statute of limitations would have already expired, but it gives extra time that allows her to bring this suit, and the time was almost going to be up under that. So that's why she had to bring this lawsuit. This is not an easy thing to do. People just don't do things like this lightly. There have been additional allegations or additional reporting from TMZ that there's a secret investigation that the NYPD has, and it has Sean Combs on it, but there's like no other details. So we're still waiting to see if that will be confirmed by other publications. But TMZ right now is who's reporting that. And Callie, you had something interesting in your feed. You said we should expect more to come. And is that specific to, well, we know there's going to be more to come in this, right? Because this lawsuit was just filed Thursday. But are you speaking about Diddy, or are you saying more to come more broadly in this industry?
I think more broadly in the industry, because you mentioned Russell Simmons earlier when you opened up, and I wasn't even aware of the allegations against him that came out in 2017, but that was on the heels of the Me Too movement in Hollywood with Harvey Weinstein, which we know was just a pivotal moment in history for women speaking out against men in power in the entertainment industry. So Russell Simmons was one of the many powerful figures that was exposed in that situation, or I should say allegedly exposed. But that was just one example. And so I feel like because Diddy is so powerful in the music industry, it's not so different from Harvey Weinstein in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
that to me is the level that we're dealing with. And so to me, it feels like a separate movement akin to the Me Too movement could arise here, because bravery is catching. You know, you see somebody do something that's hard and risky, and you might feel empowered to do the same. And I think there's probably a line and separation between Hollywood and the music industry. People might have seen the Me Too movement and how Harvey Weinstein's situation got blown up and thought, well, that's not my space, but it's their space now. So maybe we'll hear more, because we know there are more, especially in the music industry. We can't even get into all of that on this show today, but there are plenty of allegations and rumors. And so now people might feel empowered to take those public, is my thought.
Yeah. I mean, look, violence against women in hip hop is not new. It's not new, but they move in a code of silence, and women are not protected in that industry. The Russell Simmons, I know people who work in the music industry, and they were like, this is all stuff that was like known about him, you know? So that's what's sad, because it's like, it's known, but no one stops it. No one does anything. And so we will see how things unfold, because Diddy, I mean, look, it's probably through his money and power that he has a lot of protection. But he also has a lot of enemies. We know that Mace, a lot of his former artists have come at him. And I'm not saying that Mace knows anything or that anyone is going to like reveal things about him, but he, as many friends as he may have, I think he also has many enemies. And so I don't know how much protection he's going to get. Right now is not a great time to be on that side of trying to hold down people who are accused of these kinds of things. And I mean, I do think we should dig a little bit, though, into some of the things that she alleges, right? She says, I believe it was in 2018, that he came to her home and he raped her. She says that she was forced to perform sexual acts with male prostitutes while he watched, filmed, masturbated. There was physical abuse as well, alleged.
Yeah. Kicked in the face multiple times publicly, to the point where she threw up. There's mention of her throwing up, like her stomach being so upset because she was so anxious and stressed and in pain. Not just from the physical abuse, but also the sexual abuse. There's a portion of that story that says that she would throw up because she so did not want to engage in some of these acts, or she would throw up from the impact of some of the assault that she was a victim to, allegedly. So to me, it's just absurd. Even there's an allegation here that Diddy blew up rapper Kid Cudi's car because he was pursuing Cassie romantically. Kid Cudi confirmed that allegation.
They don't actually name the rapper or the artist in the suit, but Kid Cudi has since come out and confirmed it through a spokesperson. He said he was going to do it, and then the car blew up.
Right.
Holding one of her friends outside over a window. And like, again, we've heard about violence with Puffy, like against men and other people in the rap industry. There have been like allegations about him. So to me, it's not a far stretch, you know. She was 19 when they first met. Okay.
19.
And he was
37.
Yes, late 30s. So
37.
Let's just talk about the predatory nature of that. You know, we can sit here and say that, oh, you're a certain age, so you're of age, but you were not. A 37-year-old man has no business with a 19-year-old. Okay. And that's not like, I don't want to hear like, oh, that's your opinion and different times and people. No, it is inappropriate. It is not correct. And the only reason a 37-year-old man pursues a 19-year-old young woman is to control her. It is because you are a predator. And, you know, Diddy has a habit, you know, a pattern of dating young women who are substantially younger than him. I think Kim Porter, the mother of most of his children, is the only one which was like sort of within his age. And that might be because they met while they were younger. I don't know. But, you know, Kim Porter's, you know, she's deceased. And I think of the fact that she has 2 twin daughters with him, and he also has another daughter. And I mean, look, he has a number of kids, and it's not that it won't have impact, I'm sure, on the sons as well. But when you always hear men say, like, I couldn't do this, or how could you do this? Because I have a daughter, I have a mother, I have sisters. Well, this man has all of those things, you know? And this is what he was doing to Cassie. You know, there's the reports of her hair and why she got the haircut. You know, she had to because of what he did to her. So,
right.
You know, we're all here like, oh my gosh, Cassie's haircut, it looks so cute. Not knowing that something harmful happened to her, why she had to cut her hair.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I worry about his children too, like his daughters. I brought them up just because, look, that's their father, but like you have to hear all these things about him, whether it's true or not, whether you believe them or not. These are some really horrific, graphic allegations, and they're going to hear them, you know? And so I pray for his family as well, because that's a lot. That's a lot.
I'm in agreement.
Say something.
Peace.
Sorry, I thought I cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, you mentioned her hair, and there's this video circulating of a rapper whose name is lost on me right now, telling that story very casually in like a laughing manner, because it was old, and at that point, these allegations weren't out yet. But he tells the story about Cassie just being in like an apartment or some club setting, something like that, with Diddy, and Diddy saw a woman with the half of her hair cut off, and told Cassie, you're going to cut your hair off tomorrow. And the rapper tells the story as if it's like this quirky thing that Cassie was like, okay, when he tried to ask her, like, are you really going to do that? And then later in the story, he says, yeah, she sent me a picture of it. She really did it. I couldn't believe it. And it looked good. And I feel like that's the way a lot of us viewed that situation. But to know that there is this history of abuse and just trauma that would lead her to do that so easily at his recommendation, it changes the way you look at that. I don't think it was a recommendation.
I don't think it was a recommendation.
Right. No, absolutely. At his, what is the word even? At his demand. That is the word. At his demand. It changes the way you even look at that. But I remember I was looking at girls shaving their head off to copy it. Like, that is the part that blows my mind, is the things that we replicate and see sometimes in front of us can have these deep, hurtful, harmful roots that we don't even know about. And then we're just walking around like, oh, this is fun and nice. And people are suffering unbeknownst to us. So that really stood out to me as well.
In general, the casualness and the way that people sort of speak about things that happen to women in hip hop is really disturbing. I often think of like Jermaine Dupri telling the story of Biggie pulling a gun on Lil' Kim. So y'all just sat there and watched him pull a gun on Lil' Kim. Like, it's just a known thing, you know? In this 50th anniversary of hip hop, we got to do better, man. We got to do better. We got to do better for women everywhere, but we really have to do better for Black women. And I don't mean that as like anyone who's experiencing violence, it's not good, but we know of the women who experience violence, Black women are the least protected. They have increased rates of violence against them. And, you know, being in a misogynistic industry, like, and working in hip hop, it's, you know, it's in any male dominated industry. I mean, we work in sports and it's not easy for us either. But it's glorified in hip hop, in the music, in the lyrics. So Cassie, like, talking about this is really hard for me. It's really hard. Like, I did not want to have this discussion today, but we have to talk about it. And I'm sure when we post this video, as we often do after the show, there will be men in the comments coming, you know, for us, because that is what's done, sadly. But that's not going to stop us from talking about topics like this, because we need to. So
absolutely
I think we will just watch as this unfolds, Callie, and our thoughts, our prayers are with Cassie. You are so brave, and we are supporting you.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.